Hello, and today on Get Booked, we're talking about...
Dystopian!
Cool. Also, I'm Mary.
I'm Jennifer.
Forget to do that sometimes. I always feel like you all know us, but maybe you don't. Maybe this is the first time you've tuned in. So, our book bingo this month is science fiction. So dystopian is this where we're covering this week. Do you want to explain what dystopian is?
I'll let you take that one.
Oh man, I should have looked this up on the Google before I did this. Okay, so like for me, dystopian science fiction is any type of like catastrophic event. So it could be climate change, it could be like earthquakes, it could be like asteroids like hitting the earth. Also, it could be disease, could be also just fascism. That's what one of my books is about. So you're living in like usually it's the after time, or trying to survive it, usually is what it kind of comes down to.
Right, and society has sort of broken down and they're trying to like reboot everything.
Yes.
A lot of times.
Yes.
Not always, but a lot of times.
Or you're trying to break away from the fascist regime.
Right. Or you're living in a pandemic. Wah, wah.
Yeah, or you're living in Panem, which sounds like pandemic, but it's not. It's just like a murder cult for teens. Alright, do you want to go first?
Sure. My first one is a climate one. It's called Life as We Knew It. It's by Beth Pfeffer. I think I said that right. So what happens in this book is Miranda and her family are living in, I don't know, some small town. And the moon comes closer to Earth. I can't remember
Does it crash into Earth?
No, I think that, there's a meteor that collides with the moon and pulls the moon closer to Earth.
Oh.
So everything changes. Like the climate changes, there's ash that comes through the air. It's sort of like in the beginning of the pandemic when everybody was like panic buying toilet paper and panic buying canned goods and all that. So that's what kind of happens here. They panic buy things, everybody wants to get gas. Everyone's kind of staying inside. There's a little bit of like togetherness in the community, but it's kind of a lot of what we did this year, minus all of the climate issues. So this is the first book, and I think there's now 4 books. The second book is like the same time period in New York City, and then the third book I think brings the 2 people together, potentially. Anyways, it's really good. Kind of creepy. Because you're like, oh, probably more creepier now that we've lived through a pandemic, but
I know.
Very good.
Like, the first couple months of the pandemic, I was thinking about Neil Shusterman's Dry, which I did not pull.
I was surprised by that.
I don't actually like Neil Shusterman novels. Like, I just can't with him. Because I need my author to believe that humanity has some goodness, and he does not believe that, I don't think. At the same time, it's a great dystopian book. I suggest it all the time to kids who are like, oh, I need a dystopian book that's not too long. I'm like, oh, try this one. But like, I did not enjoy, like, I couldn't put it down, but I didn't enjoy it at the same time. But I still thought about it afterwards. So it's a good book. I just have conflict with the whole thing. Anyway, so my first book is not only a dystopian, it is an alternate history book. So in Ryan Graudin's Wolf by Wolf, this is What If Hitler Won? So what if Hitler won, and now everything is just Nazi Germany, like, across the board? And our main character, I read this like 5 years ago, it takes place in 1956, and the Axis powers of the Third Reich and Imperial Japan rule have kind of, like, solidified. And they host the Axis Tour, which is an annual motorcycle race. And so our main character, Yale, is a former death camp prisoner that got out, and she actually was experimented on by Mandel. And so she has like part of what makes it science fiction is that she can change who she is. And so she has like knocked out or killed the girl and taken her place to get on this motorcycle race across the world. So at the end of it, she can try and kill Hitler. Because if she can kill Hitler, then the resistance can completely rise up. It's pretty great. It's like very action-packed as well, so I really liked it. And this one, I want to say it's a duology, because it's like Wolf by Wolf, and then the second one is, it's something by something. That's great. I can't remember what it was. But it's really good.
The cover was red.
The cover is red, actually. What's your next one?
My next one is The Darkest Minds by Bracken. This has been made into a movie. You might have seen it.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually a really good movie. I liked it.
I completely missed it.
We have it in our collection.
I'll have to check it out.
Actually, the girl who plays Rue and who plays Star in The Hate You Give is in it.
Oh, just completely missed me somehow. Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah.
Why is this book great?
It's great. Okay, so, Ruby wakes up on her 10th birthday and she realizes that something has changed. Her parents kind of look in her face and you can kind of tell by your eyes that your powers have kind of awakened. And these powers are sort of something that's been killing the kids. So it's sort of a disease, sort of not a disease. So now, fast forward 6 years, she's in a camp, and they round up the kids who have these powers and they take them to this camp, and they kind of just make them very submissive, and they give them drugs to make them submissive, and they're just kind of supposed to go along with life. But Ruby doesn't really fit the description of most of the kids. Her powers are a little bit different than everybody else's. And she ends up escaping the camp, and one of the, I think it's a nurse or somebody in the camp helps her escape. And now she's on the run, and she meets up with she finds these other teens who are kind of like their own little family, and she fits in really well with them. And together they realize that there's somebody else out there who's broadcasting on the radio, and so they try to go find that person. And kind of try to take down the camp and the society. That's terrible. So, that's book one. I know. That's book one. There are 3 books. They're all out now, and they're all really, really good.
Cool. So my next book is one of my favorite teen books ever. It's actually part of a trilogy. It's Natalie C. Parker's Seafire. The tagline is "Sisterhood is Survival." I want Jen to read these books so much because they're so good and they're so action packed and so essentially there's been some type of climate catastrophe. So there's just tons of water. There's water everywhere. There are small islands in some places, but for the most part, you're on a boat. And maybe you can try and get to some places and forage for stuff, but it's just you and the fish. However, because what's a dystopian novel without an evil overlord, who also monologues, named Eric Arthur? Eric Arthur controls the seas, and then he also does conscription, where his boats have what they call bullets. That's what the sailors are called. They're his bullets. Of course, they use the most crazy language as possible. It's great. And then he conscripts they basically show up on your island nations and then raid and steal all the boys. And then the boys are then put into work camps and trained up to be bullets. It's pretty horrible. It's basically you took Mad Max and crossed it with Waterworld. But Waterworld, while great, is not. There's a lot of plot holes. This book doesn't have plot holes. It's great. It's actually Natalie Parker got inspired by watching Mad Max Fury Road, because our main character Caledonia Styx and her best friend Pisces, they grew up on the ship together. They go off to forage, and when they come back, their family ship is just completely ravaged. So they manage to somehow put the boat back together, and they just start picking up girls along the way, and they create their own found family. And it's amazing. So basically, it's girl pirates taking on an evil overlord. And they will, sabotage ships. And part of the way Eric Arthur controls all of his underlings is that he has them addicted to, an opium drug that makes them have, extreme adrenaline rushes in battle. And so they're convinced that, also with all this weird propaganda, that, there's only glory. There's only glory and violence. So they're horrible, killers and stuff. But what the turning point for Caledonia is, Caledonia and Pisces' little brothers are kidnapped, but they don't know it. They think their brothers are killed. And so they find out 3 years later that no, they can get their brothers back. And so it's a revenge plot. It's also trying to get your family back, but also the family along the way. It is so good. I love Redtooth. She's in charge of all the fighting. There's one kid that, Chaim, who I love. She can't speak, and so everybody on the boat learns sign language so they can talk to her. It's the friendship is what you will you'll come for the action, but you'll stay for the friendship and all of it's so good. like, these books you read in 24 hours because they're so fast. And we have the complete trilogy. The last one just came out. Jennifer's laughing because I spent my vacation reading the last one, Steel Tide. It was so good. And also, I think sometimes with dystopian trilogies, you can have, like, an ending and you're like, oh, that kind of sucks. Because, like Hunger Games, it's just disappointing. Steel Tide's not like that. All the way. It's like you're up here on the action, and then when the resolve is so incredibly good. So yes, it's so very good. I love it. Also, it's kind of gay, and I love that part about it too. So, but not the lead character. She has a straight romance. So, anyway, there you go.
Alright, my last book is The Selection by Kiera Cass.
This is your favorite. It's Girls in Pretty Dresses.
I do love the Pretty Girls in Dresses cover and how those all are. I'm a sucker for girls in pretty dresses on the covers. So this is kind of like Hunger Games meets The Bachelor. Basically, that's all you need to know.
Yeah, is there like a movie or a TV show about to come out with this one?
So, there has been a TV show in the works for a while. They did shoot a pilot once, and then they, like, didn't like that. And then it, like, got redone, potentially, so we're still waiting to hear about that.
It's just one of those things where I don't understand, because this book is so, like, Netflix ready, and it wouldn't be that hard to shoot. Like, I love Seafire, but, like, I know it's probably never gonna get optioned because it's expensive to shoot on water. Like, and there's so many freaking battles in that book that are huge.
Yeah, this would be like a Bridgerton type, because, like, the dystopian part isn't as crazy, like, as the Seafire one. Like, this would easily be done.
No, totally. So,
speaking of things to be done, I forgot to tell you this, and I'm just gonna tell you now.
Wait, what's up?
Jennifer Lynn Barnes' Inheritance Games got optioned for Amazon.
Okay, so I'm excited about this. I like the Inheritance Games. I don't love it as much as I love the Maureen Johnson trilogy, but that means if she gets one, then maybe they'll option I can't remember the right term, like, name of the title. The Maureen Johnson series.
Truly Madly.
Truly Dubious.
Truly Dubious.
Truly Madly isn't that a rom-com?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of, like, there's a lot of truly some things, and I'm like, truly Madly, truly, but,
yeah. I feel like if you're a librarian for a while, you get all these titles in your head, and it's just kind of like a washing machine of things that tumble out.
Also.
That aren't always correct, but we're in the same area. What's up?
Also, Sarah J. Maas's book, The Court series, got optioned.
I saw that. That one. Wait, who optioned it?
I think Prime. I think Amazon Prime.
Interesting. They're kind of becoming a player because they've grabbed some good properties. Netflix needs to step it up.
I think Netflix has Throne, but I don't know. The Throne of Glass, but I don't know if that's true or not. Somebody's got Throne of Glass, because that's also been optioned.
I love that one a lot. If we can skip the 7th book, I'll be okay with it.
What do you have next?
The next to the last one is the Kale story that it was supposed to be a novella, but she couldn't stop writing. I hate that character. Anyway. Slayer Sargathian, forever.
I blanked out that character.
It's because nobody likes him. He's that guy. He's the guy that's like, but I'm a nice guy. And I'm like, you're really not. God, it's like, you could have died and this would have been great. Why didn't she kill him in book 4? It would have been so much easier. Anyway.
We have lots of opinions.
We do. So, especially about Sarah J. Maas books, because there's a character for everybody. And there's a character that you hate. And the character that you hate may be a character somebody else would really love, and you don't know until you've crossed that line. Alright, so my next book is an adult fiction. It's a little bit close to home, just like your first one. What was your first one with the plague?
The moon. So I should say that the rest of these books that we have already talked about have all been YA books.
Yeah, and then some of the dystopian books I went to grab on the shelf. You all know about Stephen King's The Stand. That's like the dystopian book.
I don't know about that because Stephen King scares the Jesus out of me.
That one's not really that scary. It's a plague one.
Yeah, I don't trust Stephen King not to be scary.
He's not always scary.
I've heard that.
Yeah, like a lot of the short stories, like from the Bachman books, aren't scary. They're like...
He's just like scary and also creepy, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't... Okay. I think he's a good writer.
The Stand, if you were to read it, which I know you're not going to, like, when you would get to the things that would be scary in it, you would just laugh, because you're like, ha ha ha, because this is like 1984 horror, so it's not like It or anything like that. It's really more like, there's a whole, like, the vengeance of God, blah blah blah, the devil's rising kind of stuff, which you would just find hilarious, like, whatever. it's not like It, which is terrifying. So, anyway, my book was a national bestseller, according to the cover. It's called Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. So this is a plague book, and it also switches time frames, kind of goes like right when the plague was happening to later. And it's the kind of thing where
Parallel narrative?
it's a well, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's parallel. It's more like it's the same, I want to say it's the same character. I can't remember. Anyway, it's been forever since I've read this. But yeah, so the one of the characters is a girl when the plague hits, and as she's old, it comes back to it when she's older, and she's actually in a traveling troupe that performs plays, because of course there's no electricity. It's one of those situations where the plague just, like, so many people died that the entire infrastructure just collapsed in on itself, which we almost saw happen a year ago. Wow. Anyway, so, sorry.
I took a dark turn.
I know, I'm sorry. But it's dystopian books. So, but yeah, it's a really good book. It kind of goes back and forth between, like, the plague is happening and, like, the current plague, and then they ended up going into a town that has a prophet. So, of course, in dystopian time, there are people that will take advantage of people's fears, whether it be politically or religious orders. And so we have this, like, evil type evangelical prophet that has come to town and is, like, spinning his little web of lies and terribleness, and the troupe gets caught up into it accidentally just because they're just traveling. But it's a pretty cool book. But yeah, I don't think it's got some dark moments, but I don't think it's dark as, like, say, Cormac McCarthy's The Road. So I don't know. I like dystopia personally. Like,
I like dystopian.
I'm a big Snowpiercer fan, although I had to admit I could not watch the second season this year because, like, I just need a break from, like, I need to be able to get outside and see the sunshine and not think about how climate change is going to make us all live on a train where there's a caste system. So, just kidding, that hopefully won't happen. Anyway. So, we still have a couple prizes left of our mugs and our candles.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, so you'll have to tune in to find out.
Who knows?
Cool. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Alright, cool.
Enjoy the outside weather.
Yeah, we'll see you next week for more uplifting tales.